Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our live session today. My name is Larissa. I'm an event planner at Reactor, joining you from Brazil. Before we start, I have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. This session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand here on the Reactor YouTube channel within 48 hours. Keep an eye on the chat. We'll be dropping help links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer. I will now turn it over to our speakers for today. So let's welcome our host, Liam Hampton.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Agents League Hackathon. This is the second iteration that we're running of this. We ran it a few months ago, and it was a super success, and we wanted to run it just one more time for you. So again, we're going to be running with the same tracks we did previously, and if you didn't know what Agents League Hackathon was, it is a developer competition combining live coding battles, which you're going to see today. You've got community engagement through Discord, and of course, there's recognition from us here at Microsoft and across the rest of the organization with winners. So there are prizes up for grabs. Everybody is going to have a wonderful time with this once you see what we have got in store for you. So jumping into the tracks, we've got creative apps, which is using GitHub Copilot to build these creative applications. You're using these tools just to really get into the weeds of development. And we have got the reasoning agents, which is Microsoft Foundry, and the third track, which is Microsoft 365 Copilot. And all of this is going to be combined with the IQ series. So that's Fabric IQ, Foundry IQ, and Work IQ. So we are really moving in this sort of agentic direction, and we would really love it for you to start building some projects with us. The roadmap, a real quick whiz through. I'm going to make this super quick because I've got some amazing competitors here in StreamYard with me, and I want them to show off what they're building. So this all started on May 19th, but this is the hackathon portion of the AI Skills Fest who we're running in collaboration with here at Microsoft. So today we've got creative apps, which is this live stream. Tomorrow we have got the reasoning agents, and the day after we have got enterprise agents. So you got 3 days, 3 streams, and some awesome projects and competitors to show you what they're building. On the June the 14th, we have got the submission deadline, which means everybody must get their project in for a chance to win one of the amazing prizes. On the June 30th, between 26th and the 30th of June, we are going to be judging and selecting our winners. Now, like I said, I'm keeping this super quick and super brief. All of this will be available to you afterwards, but this, I'm guessing, is going to be the slide pitch you will want to see. So the best overall project submission is going to get $15,000 for each of the categories. So each of the 3 tracks that I've just showed you, the winner will get $5,000 plus a bunch of other goodies. The best use of the IQ tools, which we notice is a little bit unique this time, is also going to be a winner. And of course, we've got 3 extra categories, and I believe there's 3 of each. So 3 of the top students, 3 of the accessibility projects, and 3 of the Hack for Good projects. So whether you are a student who bring fresh perspectives, whether you are building an accessibility project, because we are huge on that at Microsoft and GitHub, or whether you want to help try and change the world with a Hack for Good project, we are recognizing everything. We've got a wonderful prize pot for you. So we really want you to get hacking with this. I'm super excited. Some of the resources we have got for you. We've got starter kits. So just like last time, we have provided a whole lot of information for you outlining what you need to do, how to get started, some of the tools, and some great ideas for you. Then we've also got the community support, which is obviously these 3 streams that we're running this week. And just like last time, and again, we are running the Discord channel, which means you can get help from us. You can ask us questions. You can collaborate with other people. This is really, really cool. This is all about bringing everybody together to build. The judging. How are we judging this? We are going to be running the same rubric as last time, where you've got the accuracy and relevance, you've got reasoning, you've got creativity. You're going to be judged on your presentation, so you can't just submit any old thing, and reliability and safety. So in this whole world of agentic development, we really want to recognize security and safety. So we have added that in and made sure that is definitely part of the judging criteria again this time. So who's ready to compete before I bring up the competitors and speakers that I've got for you today? If you are ready, you've got to go ahead and register. You must go to aka.ms/agentsleague/AISF, and that will be put into the chat, I believe. So that should popping up at the bottom for me any moment now. Otherwise, you can scan the QR code. It is that simple. That is a whistle-stop tour of Agents League and what we're going to be doing. So with that in mind, let's bring up the competitors. I am joined here today with Kyle Dagel and Burke Holland. So Burke and Kyle, come on up.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up?
How are we doing? Right. Let's get straight into this. Okay, I'm going to start with Kyle. You're going to have 20 to 25 minutes to hack away and show what you've been doing and introduce yourself. And then Burke, you're going to take the second half of the stream. You are going to hack away and show us what you have been building and how you get started with GitHub Copilot. But this time, rather than taking anyone off the screen, we're all going to stay on the screen and we're going to watch and we're just going to ask lots of questions, deliberate and chat. And whilst you're doing that, I'm also going to be monitoring the chat. So the chat is open. I see loads of comments in the chat. So I'm going to start sifting through them. And Kyle, take it away. You've got 25 minutes. At 12:30, we are going to stop the clock for you.
I appreciate you letting me go first because Burke's gonna, use all of his skills to wipe the floor with me. But I'm excited to get going. Okay. I think I have everything up and shared. So I'm going to be using the GitHub app, the GitHub Copilot app today to do this. This is actually the one I use every day with like my normal side projects and automations, which I use. But I want to create a brand new project that I am going to call What Am I? One of the things that I've been experiencing a fair bit is what exactly do all of these words mean? Whether that be, internal company lingo or just with the discussion over the weekend on Loopapalooza. And so I wanted to build a little app that's going to help me both kind of dig into what these words mean and also track them over time in a graph. And so I'm starting with a brand new project just to kind of show you exactly how I would normally do this. I'm going to cheat a tiny bit and just put in a set of skills. I build a lot of different apps, but I also build a lot of sort of like automations that I use for my day-to-day job. So I don't globally manage these. I pop them into each repo. The first is just a little bit on terminal cleanup. The second on making sure that you're using the GitHub Copilot app browser to do your testing. And then finally, I don't always remember to do fleet, and so making sure that it'll do that where possible and spawn some subagents. So brand new repo. I'm going to use 5.5. I'll use high for the sake of this. I want to build an app that helps look up important terms that I don't understand. You're called What Am I? I'm going to skip the planning step here because honestly, I'm just going to let it go into autopilot mode and start looping away. You should build a simple web app and use SQLite on the background. Use the GitHub Copilot SDK as your source for LLM calls to be able to answer the questions. That's my kind of favorite hack when I'm building little local apps. Then build a visualization of the terms and how they connect with each other. For example, if I ask you about Ruby programming language, find the key terms within that answer and build a graph to show how they connect together. Mostly because I think the big part of the problem here is I might get the single answer, but then I want to know, if I talk about Ruby, then I should probably be talking about Rails, for example. Then build this and continue checking that it works within the browser and the GitHub Copilot app. And then I want to add one extra thing. Asynchronously use the Work IQ MCP server to find additional details about the key term from my work context. Don't do this in line. So I'm going to use the WorkIQ MCP server. WorkIQ lets me look across all of the data that I have at work with Teams and M365 and OneDrive, etc. It's super, super simple. There are APIs coming to do this a little bit more easily than just kind of cheating and using the MCP server locally, since I wouldn't really be deploying it this way. But I'm going to start here and just have it do it asynchronously to give it a go. At this point,
I love how you're using the
we're in
Copilot
coffee
app.
land, Liam. Or I would probably actually go work on a different project at this point, honestly. Actually, you know what? Because this is going to like take a second, I think I'm going to quickly do this, because there's another thing I was thinking about this morning while I was rushing to get in here. I don't know if anyone used to use like I think it was called Dagel, right? It was like a way to like find other people that you want to chat with at work, to like do one-on-ones with. Given this is going to be, you know, kind of working, I want to do the same thing here. Build a simple web app that uses a SQLite database of employees with a set of interests. Find matches for me to chat with, so I can meet and learn from other people. Let me shuffle. If the match doesn't make sense, and if it does make sense, use the WorkIQ MCP server to send a Teams message to them when I request it to introduce myself and set up the meeting. Use WorkIQ MCP to, let's see, load my direct reports into the database one time. Build, test in the browser, and let me know when you're done. There we go. All right, we'll do 2 apps and see if one has a chance of beating Burke. Obviously, like I'm cheating a little bit here because I have like a bunch of skills that like I have installed under the hood. You know, one is sort of looking at the looping set here, a little bit on the way that the websites will be designed. Hopefully, I was trying out a couple of new ones yesterday because I found that, I don't know, we all sort of chose the same skills to do our front end design, you know, the better front end design skills. And then so all of our apps that looked like AI before look like AI now, but just all exactly the same. And so try to find something that was a little bit more my style, but I may have to come in and steer some of this work.
I love that. You just said you're cheating. Is it cheating or is it efficient development? Because
I mean, like, this is 100% the real world. I say cheating because of the time, 25 minutes. Like that was, you know, normally in these hackathons, like from, you know, 6 years ago, right? You know, you kind of like bring everything you can, but then, you know, there's an amount of like work you have to do right there. Nowadays, I mean, I'm frequently asking, I think I might have deleted it just because I had some other stuff in here, but like I'm frequently coming into quick chat and saying like, look at my installed skills. I want to improve the visual design to be more uniquely me. You can use my vault to understand what that means. What skills would you recommend I install? And so I use Obsidian for all of my notes and sort of years and years and years of notes and meetings and context. And so I really, really love just saying like use my vault and it being able to reach into Obsidian and build context from me. I use the Obsidian CLI to do that, but some folks use QMD to do this same sort of context grab. Because the thing that is most important to me isn't actually like the skills side. It's really like, how do I make this thing know me incredibly well, without sort of trying to build these additional context layers. Instead, I already have one that I use and live in. How do I just give access to it, so the agent can go through and pull out what it thinks is most relevant.
Love that.
Let's see.
All right, we got a question in the chat actually a moment ago, and it is: are you building a knowledge graph with LangChain here? So I can see where this question comes from. I can see the train of thought.
No, I mean, like, I think train of thought wise, like, that makes total sense. I'm not at the moment, no. I'm right now really just focused on building effectively the web experience, like the ability for me to have an app where first I just want to be able to build the connectivity together, like find a key term, get it answered, stored into a database, and then ultimately use that database for goodness later on. But I could also just use the web UI. I know, like, for the agent challenge coming up, I would definitely be then taking this database and putting an agent front end on it, so that it will probably act as a sub agent for a variety of other tasks where I can say, like, here's a corpus of knowledge of terms that are important to me and terms in the context of work. So that way, when I'm saying like web IQ doesn't necessarily mean very much in the world, but it means something very specific and important at Microsoft. Or like hookshot at GitHub, it means Legends of Zelda in the world. But at GitHub, it means the old webhook infrastructure. And so being able to kind of marry that with Work IQ and then I'm just using SQLite because I think it's just easiest to use in this context. But ultimately being able to have that resource and then I can attach it to an agent later.
Love it.
Just checking in on both of these. This is my favorite. Like I always feel like I need to create a custom instruction for my user because I'm always am starting with a new GitHub repository. Like I showed this off because most of my work is actually doing that. There's also like the GitHub app. Like I'm trying to implement text focus restore. It's not quite working correctly. And also like the ability to share automations. I don't think there's anything bad in here.
I say you've got a ton of things inside this app, haven't we? So
oh my goodness, yeah.
It's amazing.
Like this is like really really what I'm using now. Clearly, like my day-to-day is not coding anymore. It used to be. I've been at GitHub for 13 years. But it's not anymore. So this is ultimately like what I'm actually using. I built my own little flight search, so that way when I'm traveling, I can find flights pretty easily. I've been trying. I just turned on. There's a new feature for auto cleanup of your old sessions, so that way your old sessions that have merged pull requests don't need to stick around, and so those all just disappeared. But I have this is open source on my repo where I've been building a multi-model skill with some evals, so that way you can install this skill and it's like a task intent based, very smart, tunable. I don't know, super auto or like dev focused auto, so that way you there's obviously the auto mode for model selection that we have inside the app here, but I'm also sometimes like when I'm working on a side project, I want it to have a bigger list of potential models where I want to go to the top tier frontier for the hardest problems, but then like a super fast model when I'm like it's ultimately just going to run a simple bash command or something. And so that model skill does that. I haven't wired up the evals into GitHub Actions fully yet, but you can go check that out. And then, cool. Yeah, the automations are like, they all just died because I restarted the app a moment ago and I'm not going to click play. But like, this is all my like actual automations. Obviously, I'm living in email and docs way more than someone like Burke. And so it's all living like this, but you can see it doesn't always just have to be code. It can be the work around the work, which these run and connect via the skills I have installed in MCP servers to update my notes and pull important to-dos out of meetings and put them as a to-do list, which I use
Nice.
day in, day out.
Yeah, this is like your single point of contact then for everything that you need. But it's good for just not just code, right? It's good for all sorts of things
Oh,
now.
there we
So I like this.
So it's testing now, testing in the browser, showing that it's shared here, so I can unshare it with the agent if I want to. I'll scroll up and show what else it did. Oh yeah, so this is cool. So it's obviously pulling up the web pages around the SDK and whatnot. Then down here it does a rubber duck critique. Ultimately, it's looking at the architecture that was built, and then it's using a different model. So I'm using 5.5, so it's probably choosing 4.7 or 4.8 to ultimately say, okay, is this correct? Like, did this make any sense? Would you change this differently? And you can see that it's worried that the implementation of the WorkIQ MCP server is probably wrong. The SDK and WorkIQ together isn't actually connected. Like, it's really great to find these things automatically. Like, I haven't typed anything else in since I prompted the initial request. It is just using the app, using the skills, and then those custom instructions, which I added to start looping until it can get far enough that it's worth me actually testing.
Yep. I guess for anyone who's watching this and wondering why Kyle has not been prompted for any of these requests for it to go out and accept anything, it's because it's in autopilot mode.
Yeah, I'm cheating. I mean, like, I find that one, as long as I'm working on 2 new apps, and so like I'm not working on anything that's production ready here, so I'm willing to let it kind of have a bigger free reign, especially when I'm starting. After I start testing, I usually swap it into interactive because the architecture design, I'm okay with kind of whatever it shows. I said the most important thing, web app, SQLite at this instance, and some of my other apps, which again I think they're all drop down. But if I do care a lot, I'll first do a plan mode, mostly so I can have that interactive architecture building, and then I've found that I don't need to drop into interactive as much because of Rubber Duck. I'm kind of okay with the agent running forward and then just getting critiqued rather than interrupting me, because I'm usually doing 3 or 4 things at once. And I don't want the context switching to be ping, 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 every 2 seconds between the apps. I want to jump back when I have a worthy cognitive load amount of things to actually, look at.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm noticing Playwright there, so it's going off and it's doing some self-testing, I guess, at this point. Just
I really appreciate that. It's like the favicon. Think of the favicon. Yep. It's out in Playwright, so it's not opened up the browser for me quite yet. The dry run custom chip. Okay, great. I mean, that's making good progress. How am I doing on time? Oh boy, we're close.
This is good. This is interesting to see. This is probably the first time I'm personally seeing this used comprehensively, the GitHub Copilot app, in an actual development workflow. So this is really interesting to see from a developer's perspective. Very interesting. I like this. And I guess I did actually get a question in the chat a moment ago, and it was, who's the target demographic for the GitHub app compared to Visual Studio Code, which I think is really interesting. You kind of already answered it to some extent, because this covers quite a few bases for us.
Yeah. So, I think that sometimes when we talk about this app, folks will say, this is just for, vibe coding, or for folks that don't want to be in the CLI or don't want to be in VS Code. I think it's different than that. The main thing for me is that I like having a multitude of projects going on at a single time. I like to be able to bounce around a variety of things, and I can always go and open up VS Code, right? At any given moment, if I really want to dig into the code, or if I want to look at the changes here and decide that I want to make a change, more hands-on, I can do that in VS Code. The reason why I like this is because, to me, it's not just about code, it's also about the work around the work. I want to have a set of agents that are all pulling from the same context, that have the same skills, that have the same MCP servers where possible, understands what I care about. And that's what this app gives me. I can't really easily show remote control, but last night when I was like poking around at using the WorkIQ MCP server inside of an app, I was reading a book as I was going to bed, and I pulled out my phone and used my phone in the GitHub app on there to just check in on what the agent is doing and like giving it any of the steering necessary to make sure that by the time I woke up this morning, it had a couple of different options that would work. Because it's the first time I'm using WorkIQ in this way versus using it via the API. So I think the app, it's kind of your choice. You can use the app, you can use the agents mode inside the VS Code, you can use the CLI. It's kind of any option. I would say that, like, I saw another comment in chat, like, is he using company tokens? I am absolutely using company tokens right now on the weekends, mostly because I want to understand what you all get to experience too. I like pay for my own tokens so I can like hit that limit, or I can realize, what do I really need to be successful here, and not just use 5.5 every time. And that's kind of what led me to build this multi-model skill. Is I wanted something that felt more like how I wanted it to work, which is to be economical but not stingy. I wanted to use the right model, which is sometimes a very expensive model. And so, I know a lot of these loop discussions get to all the tokens are free, and so it kind of doesn't matter. I live both ways, but for the purposes of this demo, yes, I'm using my GitHub staff account.
I like the way you look at that. That's very similar to a lot of the attitude that I think, I guess a lot of us actually have when doing this and experiencing this with customers and partners and folks in the community. Like, I'm very much empathetic with how tokens are used and how to be more efficient.
Totally.
Shifting gears a little bit, there was another question about deployment. How does this then fit into the deployment pipeline? So let's say you've got your application here. It's running on localhost. So what am I is running on localhost. How are you then deploying that through this pipeline from the application?
Oh, I'm going to answer that 1 second. There's an error in the browser. Look at that. And continue to work until fixed. Okay, I'm going to kick that back. So I kind of have a couple different options. Like, for my personal projects, I tend to deploy everything into like a single server, similar to Peter and Levels.io, where it's like just do it live, and like everything is really just pushing to production because it's just for me. I think at work, kind of two lanes. Like, one, we continue to use like the Azure CLI or the GitHub underlying deployment infrastructure to actually do the deployments, just sort of like agent enabled. The thing that I've been super excited about has been, it was announced at Build called Project Rayfin. It gives me the ability to run a simple command, just like Rayfin up, and it'll deploy an entire application stack, like a backend as a service for me. Ultimately, it's running in the Fabric infrastructure, Microsoft Fabric infrastructure, but it's something that I can actually ship and like share with Burke, and use our company authentication to, solve the problem. So it kind of depends. I think one of my like favorite tips is that auth is the hardest part always, and I hate building auth into every single one of my apps. And so I use Cloudflare to basically act as a front, regardless of where I'm putting all of my apps. So that way, every single app goes through a single authorization stack. And so all my personal apps that I build and deploy, when share with friends or whatnot, like it just goes through that single layer. So I don't have to keep putting like authorization into each of these little apps, when really it kind of doesn't matter who the person is in most of these. Like that flight search, like me, my executive assistant uses it. They're just logging in with their GitHub accounts.
Very cool.
Behind that Cloudflare layer.
Yeah, so that's kind of flattened it completely for you in terms of accessing it and using it. That's good.
All right, I'm gonna try this again now. Oh, that was fast. That was suspiciously fast. Oh, because it tested it. Because it tested it because it saw that I failed the OAuth one already. So let's keep moving. We'll do semantic search. No problem. Let's do a new one. Let's see here. .NET. What the hell?
You just created.
Oh,
like,
it's because it's not actually calling the LLM. I bet. Haha, you agent. Take a look at the results of each of the queries. Here, it doesn't appear you're actually calling the Copilot SDK. Ensure that each query has a unique answer based on the term given. And all right, I'm going to do this first, and then I am going to peruse the code. Close this off.
So you can still view the code in here. So
yeah,
this
totally.
is like a very cool.
Yeah, and like I can do splits in case I want to like actually look at the terminal while I'm doing it. That would have been better when I was troubleshooting the problem. So doing the lookup. Yeah, interesting. Let's see.
Okay, so in the interest of time, we've hit 31 minutes past the hour, but that doesn't mean, Carl, that you can stop. You can continue going if you wish to continue going in the background. And then at the end of the stream, what we'll do is we'll circle back to see how far you got. And then you can take us through your thought process and where you got to, like what you envisioned versus what you've actually got. So I think that's a super important part to do. But I am going to ask you if you can share your screen and take us through how you develop with GitHub Copilot and how you start to create your creative apps and what you do, I guess, at work, in your off time. You're busy. You're a very busy person. So it's always great to see what you develop. Let's go for it. Over to you.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. Good to see everybody. It's going to be a tough act to follow in the Copilot app there from Kyle, but I'll do my best. I am the distinguished vibe coder. So the pinnacle of vibe coding right here. So I'm going to be in Visual Studio Code today. Let me minimize this, get back to my editor here. And, you know, as Kyle was saying, there's a lot of different ways to interact with Copilot. You can use the CLI, you can use Visual Studio Code, you can use the GitHub Copilot app, you can use the new agents window. It's kind of just wherever you want to be. I still like this modality because I like the CLI, and I also like to be able to get to my files. So what I want to do today is I want to look at a couple of ideas. The first one is the idea of using loops to prompt your agents instead of prompting them directly. And the second one is just what a workflow might look like. So what we're going to try to do is build this game that I've been trying to build for years, which is just called Fledgling. And I built it in various incarnations. We're going to try to do it in 25 minutes, but it's just basically you just fly around as a baby bird, and there's things you can do. It's supposed to be delightful and fun, and we'll see how far I get. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to open the terminal in an editor window here. So I have a shortcut for that. And then I'm going to start it like this with YOLO. Now, YOLO is not a command. That's an alias I created, which starts the Copilot CLI in YOLO mode, which just means that I don't have to approve any of the things it wants to do, right? This is bypass approvals, approve all. Now, normally I would do this inside of a dev container or in a code space. But never, ever, don't ever, ever, ever do this on your local machine, ever. If you take one thing from this morning, it's that you should never, ever do this on your local machine just to make sure that the agent doesn't hurt you. But I'm going to do it. But do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do here is I'm going to switch into plan mode like this. And then what we want to do is like first define for this application like the aesthetic that we want for the game. So before we do anything else, I'm going to create a skill for that. We don't need AI for this. We're going to create a GitHub folder, and inside of that, it's going to have a skills folder. And inside of that, there's going to be it's going to be like Studio Ghibli aesthetic. So we'll just call it Ghibli aesthetic. And then inside of that, there's a skill.md file. Okay, so we're going to start right here. And then I have this already, so you don't have to watch me do this. We're just copy this in here. Like this. And then this isn't quite the right, we need a name up in the front matter here. So we need a name and a description. You see Copilot's trying to help me out. see if we can figure it out. Yeah, there we go. So it's exactly, so did you see the autocomplete kick in there? It happened really fast. But this is why I really like to still be in Visual Studio Code, because I still like type and I need the autocomplete. So we got the description and the name here. That should be good enough for the model to pull this out. And again, this just defines the aesthetic of the game so that we don't have to keep saying it, right? It's a color palette, tells it to use this mesh Lambert material, which is just a way of drawing, right? Because these are like voxels. And if you're not familiar with any of those terms, it's all like gaming stuff. I'm not either. I'm just throwing them around like I do. Yeah, so I look smart. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is actually is build this thing. And because we don't know exactly what we want to build, we have a very vague idea. We're going to start in plan mode, and we're going to use this skill called Grill Me, which is from Matt Pocock. And what Grill Me is going to do is it's just going to pummel us with questions about what we want to build. So let's come in here, and I'm going to use voice mode. Let's just tell it what we want here. I would like to build a cozy 3D bird flying game called Fledgling. Oops, I tried to do too many things at once here. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. I would like to build a cozy 3D flying game called Fledgling. You're a baby bird learning to fly over a small town. Use 3JS in a browser with no build step. And what's my last part of the prompt here? Okay. This should feel like a Studio Ghibli film. Warm, soft, joyful. No losing. You can't lose. Just the sky and the small pleasures of flying around. Okay. Perfect. So we're going to send this, and then we're going to watch what Grill Me does here. And this is one, I don't recommend a lot of MCP servers and skills, but this one I do. You can see I'm using Opus 4.6 and I'm on medium reasoning here. And you'll notice that it's going to start asking me a bunch of questions. So the first one is, where should the camera be? Third person follow cam is perfect. And we're just going to keep going through this. And the reason why we do this is because the biggest problem that you have when you're prompting is that you don't know all of the details. No one does, right? And so the answer is like, well, just think harder about what you want and write better prompts. But that's really hard. So Grill Me just forces you to do this. So core field flying, arcade and floaty, physics light, thermals, lift drag, still forgiving. I think I like this physics light one. And that's what Grill Me does, is it just forces you through all of these different decision points here. And then you're like, this is the prompt that you should have written if you had thought through everything ahead of time. So how the world, soft nudge for boundaries. Let's put mountains on the boundary. Soft nudge back. Perfect. That's what I want. I can see it in my mind. I just got to get it into this prompt. Now, Grill Me can go on for quite a while, so it'll be interesting. We may just do this for 20 minutes. All right, gameplay loop. Pure ambient, no explicit goals, like quests, discovery moments. Yeah, trigger little animation sounds. Swoop through a wind chime, ride a thermal above a bakery. I mean, it sounds great in theory. Question 5. A tiny hamlet, a small village, or a larger town with districts. Tiny hamlet, 10 buildings recommended. Okay, so what I want here is like a tiny hamlet slash town diorama. So the word diorama has a lot of semantic meaning, and I would really encourage y'all to work on your vocabulary with prompting, because if you can words like diorama or like bucolic, which means like farm-like, and these words just describe a lot to the agent. So tiny hamlet, town diorama, bucolic with surrounding, I didn't spell that right, doesn't matter, fields and forests. Here we go. And I'm watching my AI credits go up here, because the other thing we're going to look at is how we can save some money. You mentioned Ghibli in the selection, flat, my recommendation, flat shadow, low poly. Yeah, we want low poly, otherwise it's going to be quite slow in the browser. Flat shaded.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're using Claude Opus 4.6 for this. There was a question in the chat. It's saying, what stands out compared to using native Claude code? So that's an interesting question when using like Claude Opus and the
instead of just using Claude Code. Yeah, you're going to see here in a minute. Yeah, because in a minute, what I'm going to have it do is I'm going to use Opus to do thinking, and I'm going to use GPT-5.5 to actually write code, because Opus is very creative and very what's the word? It thinks about things that you didn't think of, and GPT-5.5 is easy. I would say easily, it is objectively the best coding model. So you kind of want both. So that's what we're going to do here in just a second. And that's why I'm using it here.
And you're using medium reasoning, right, for this?
Correct, with Opus, yeah.
Yeah, can you just quickly explain what it means when we're using low, medium, high extract reasoning on models, and how does that affect your usability?
Yeah, sure. So let's see here. Permanent golden hour, day-night cycle, bright, cheerful midday. I like it. When you're talking about reasoning levels, you're talking about how much the model actually thinks out loud. And the more that it thinks out loud, the better the answer that you get, theoretically, right? If it doesn't think out loud at all, then it can still give you an answer. But as it thinks, if you ever watch it go, it'll be like, it'll say things like this, 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 and this. And it'll be like, I found the issue, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll be like, actually, that's fine. I need to look at this. Oh yeah, that's definitely the issue. Actually, that's not that's reasoning level, right? And so the more it does that, the more it's going to get to the right answer. If it doesn't do that at all, then it's just going to go with the first thing it comes up with, which is probably wrong.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm seeing like a lot of chat around this, just generally in the conversation.
Yeah, feed the questions through as we go here. Which should the baby bird look like?
I quite like 5.5 as well. I found myself going the other way, Burke, which is like I start with 5.5 and I add creativity, only because like the Opus models can sometimes be a little too creative, depending on what you're working on.
I would totally agree. In this case, Opus works really, really well, right? Because we're doing a game, but sometimes like you don't want the model, like don't get creative in this code base. This is not complex. Just do what I tell you. All right. So one final question. Do you want me to proceed? Oh, that's the question. So yeah, let's go ahead and create the implementation plan. So it's going to do that. And then we can look at that plan and then move to the next step where we're going to actually create a roadmap here. And we'll talk about that. So we're getting our plan back. While that's going, I just want to take a look at my usage here. I think I can do both. All right, so for that, we had 387,000 up and 32 down, right? So you'll notice that your input is always more than your output. Output's more expensive, but input's really where you want to save money when you can, and we'll talk about how you might be able to do that. So here's our plan in VS Code. Oh, I love this. I can just like click on it, and there it is. So we could go through this. We don't have time here, so I'm just going to drag it, which will save it into the project here. And then what we want to do now is move from this plan, and it's still working. You can stop working. Let's try this.
You did that so nonchalantly, just drag it across. I've never done that before. That's a great tip.
Yeah, you just drag files in. Just click them and drag them in if you want them in your project. It's super convenient. Okay. Turn this into a phased build plan. Let me just add some more fidelity to this. And again, I'm a little prepared here because I did some. Each phase must be independently complete and playable. The plan should live in a phased plan.md file so the agent can track the progress. All right, so we're just going to turn this plan into a phased plan because right now the way it is it's probably set up. Oh, it is a phased plan already. Interesting. Interesting. So I guess we actually don't need to do this. I thought I was going to create to-dos, but it created, oh, great. Look, we get to skip a step. Okay. So I just cleared out and went to a new session here. Now, when I do that, that other session is still there, right? It's right here. So we could always go back, but we're going to go to a new one because we want a new context window. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to go to a new agent that I've been messing around with called the token efficient router. And I don't know that this actually works yet. So I don't want to like release it into the wild, but the idea is that it's Opus thinking and then delegating work to small models. So the small models don't actually think at all. They just work. And Opus does all the thinking. And the idea being that you save tokens because most of your tokens are Opus like trying to read files. It's like grepping. You don't need Opus to grep. Haiku can grep for you, right? And so let's see if this actually works. So I'm going to paste in a pretty beefy prompt here, and we'll look at it. So what we've got here is basically telling the agent, build this thing. Let's see here. Build fledgling phase by phase. Start the server. After each phase, start the server. Use the agent browser to open the game. This is a skill. Verify that it loads, looks warm and cozy and not tacky. The bird flies correctly. If something looks wrong, fix it before continuing. Update plan and move to the next phase. The game is complete when all phases are complete and the bird is flyable. Here are the controls. Okay, I'm going to switch to autopilot mode. And autopilot is kind of like a loop. So what autopilot's going to do is it's just going to keep prompting the agent behind the scenes for you, like go to the next phase, go to the next phase, go to the next phase, to make sure that it actually does all of what it says it's going to do. Because you have to remember that the model's goal is really to get done as quickly as possible. And that's why a lot of times they just skip things and they're like, I'm done. And you're like, you're not done, right? You're not done at all. But autopilot keeps it working. So it's kind of like a loop here. So now what it's going to do is it's read our skill file. So it knows about the aesthetic, right? So we didn't have to say anything about that, which is nice. And then it uses 5.4 to read the plan. So all of these input tokens for the plan go to GPT-5.4, which is really nice. So good, I have the full plan. This is and then GPT-5.4 summarizes like this up phase 1 for the agent. And then it's going to delegate the implementation to sub agents to actually work this out. Now, while this is going, let's start a new session. And of course, remember, our sessions are still alive here. Like, we don't have to, like, we can see it's right there. Don't worry, it's still there. Oh, interesting. It picked GPT-5.4 for the first one. Okay, so it delegates hard things to bigger models. So let's go back to, because I did a new session, right? Here we go. So what I want to do here is I'm going to use something that's new in the CLI called Every. And Every allows you to run like scheduled tasks. And so what I want to do here is I want to say like every 60 seconds, open a browser and attempt to play the game, navigate around, take screenshots, and then put all of these screenshots in an index.html file so I can just track your progress as you go. Oh no, I may have hit. Yeah, too bad. So this is a new feature that I wanted to show y'all, but maybe not quite ready. I'll have to file a bug for that. In fact, watch this. Let's see. Open an issue on the GitHub /Copilot CLI repo for the /every command, reporting that we're getting an error that the schedule registry has been disposed. Output here so that I can review before you actually open this issue. So if y'all are still opening issues by hand, you got to stop doing that.
You don't need to anymore.
It's the first thing you should change in your workflow. Let's go back and see what we got over here. Uh-oh. We're experiencing some screen cheese. We'll reload. We may lose. Did we lose? Did I lose you?
Oh. That's an interesting phrase, screen cheese. I've never heard that before.
You never heard screen cheese? Yeah,
No.
It looks like we've lost the CLI inside of you. And I'm in insiders here, so that may be a part of it as well. No problem. Let's just resume. Yeah. Great. And then do we have any sessions running or did it kill them all? That's this one. No problem. Let's just resume. You're getting to see all of the different. There we go.
This is a completely different workflow to Kyle. And this is exactly why I wanted you both on here to do this, because it's two separate ends of the stick to do similar tasks. It's brilliant.
Now I just gotta find the one. Which one was it? This one? No. Is it this one? Yes, there we go. So here we're just gonna say resume because we were building.
All right, so I got another question, and this is based off of discussion in the chat. Now, we're talking about models. Kyle, you were using for 5.5,
Yep.
from what I remember. Burke, you're using Opus 4.6. We have an auto mode. How does auto mode play into this, and how would that better the workflow in this instance? Would it better the workflow? Would it not? Is it better to directly choose your models? How would you approach this?
I mean, I can chat so you can work, Burke, if you want.
Yeah. What do you answer that, Kyle?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that the main reason I chose a specific model is because of the time sensitivity of this activity. Over the weekend, I was, like I mentioned, I was only using auto mode myself. Auto mode is pretty good at, in VS Code to detect how difficult of a task or what the task's intention is and choose the right model of the right size. And so you are able to spend a bit less money, and then we're choosing the right model for you amongst a set of models. And so it's really, really good when you're kind of in an existing project and you're going between sort of like low difficulty to medium difficulty tasks, because you'll save a lot of AI credits by using it. And we're always like making the task intent better, and we're adding new models to it over time, including the new MAI Code 1 model. If in this instance, because I wanted to be like slightly more deterministic, I know what 5.5 is about to do. Like Burke said, I know the creativity of the Opus model suite. If you're going for a particular sort of style or a particular heuristic of one of the models, choosing that model is still the best. And so
Gotcha.
if you're looking to save AI credits, auto mode's definitely the way to go. If you're looking for a particular outcome of a particular model, it's still best just to choose that model.
Good way to look at it. Thank you. Hopefully that answers the questions in the chat, because there's a lot of chat about auto mode.
It's gotten much better. It's like in the last few, I think, weeks even. So I would say, like, if you haven't used it recently, it's worth giving it another shot.
Super. No, that's good to know. But how are we going?
We're still cranking away. GPT 5.4 is out there doing its thing. I think we should be able to see it in tasks. Yeah, it's right there. So we can see the sub agent. Here's the prompt that got sent. Phase 1, general purpose, create the following files. So this is Opus prompting GPT 5.4. So we talk about like loops, and like you shouldn't be prompting models. You should be writing loops where the model prompts the model, where the model prompts itself. This is what that means, right? Like on its face, that doesn't make any sense, but that's all they mean. For the loop here, the loop is just going through and it's like doing this, and then it's going to do this, and then it's going to do this. And that's the autopilot is doing that here. And actually, I don't think I even went into autopilot when I resumed, but it should still be fine here. Oh yeah, so we're spitting out files now, which will be interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting. And then it looks like we have some issue here. I got some bugs I can file. This is good. For on this token efficient router here, I wonder if I can. Trying to think how I can bring this up easily. I might be able to get it from here. Yeah. So I'm kind of like reinventing auto mode in a sense, like the way that I want it to work. But I actually do think that this stuff should be part of the harness. You shouldn't have to do this. And if you see, like, there's a lot of context here, which all of this becomes input tokens, and that makes it more expensive. It is important to note, though, that like this agent, this gets passed once, and then you have something called prompt caching that the models do, where essentially when you send a request to the model has to take all of what you just sent and turn it into tokens, right? Models don't speak in English, they speak tokens. And tokens are like numeric. I don't know if you've ever seen them, right? They're representations of pieces of a word. And so what prompt caching does is if you're sending the same prompt and you're just adding to it over and over, prompt caching says, well, we already have these tokens. You don't need to do that again, but you still have to pay for it. So they just to be clear, you get it at a discount, depending on the model that you're using. I think with like Claude, it's like 90%. And with the GPT models, it can be like 50 to 75%, but it's not free, but it is cheaper. But I feel like all of this stuff is important to understand now that like tokens matter, right? We used to live in a world where tokens didn't matter. It was just like, how long can you keep a session running? But now it matters a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
All right.
Kyle,
So we're running
how's your project going, Kyle? I'm conscious of time. I know we don't have too long left. So
My projects going great. I got them both up and running. I built a quick separate skill to make a new Dagel design language as we were going here, because I wasn't happy with what this thing was spitting out. And then also have the human matcher up and running. So far so good.
Nice. So can we see your screen? Are you sharing your screen?
Yep.
There we go.
I'm still sharing. Yep.
Super.
So
wow, lovely.
I went. I really hate the colors, so no one judge me, please. But I merged the PR, and then I'm quickly kicked off like using the new Dagel me skill. I just created a new skill. It like asked me a bunch of questions because I wasn't happy with the design, and so it's going through. It didn't find it, but then it found the front end skill. So it's going through. But I can go in here and say like what I'm looking to learn. I'd love to be introduced to Martin Woodward, who I actually know quite well, so I can just click introduce me, and then for the purposes of this, I'm not going to click send over work IQ, just so Martin doesn't get freaked out. But I can send this out. I can choose different topics that I care about, and ultimately it'll find the people that are most attached to me. Scott cares about AI and open source, so this one's good. Not happy with the design of it. This one actually is working great. Like I will actually use this because this is what I meant. Like where I talk about one thing and then I want to click another thing to kind of learn further about that. And so when I click it, I wish it scrolled up, but I'll prompt it to do that in a second. It goes through and it calls using my Copilot subscription, effectively using the SDK under the hood. It then will go learn about Matsumoto-san here. Shares the importance of the underlying terms, builds me another graph, and I can keep going, like the benevolent dictator for life and what that means here in open source, and they're all being stored in my SQLite database under the hood. So this one's ready for a merge too. I'm just going to use agent merge, which takes this, puts it up, runs the review. If I have CI running, it will wait for CI. You can see it thinking and merge. So I have a skill, I have two apps that are up and running.
Super. So that's a completely different workflow, completely different take on how Burke's approaching this. So that's very like a business-esque application, and Burke, we're going more like the very developer-heavy application. So I guess for the folks watching the stream, it really doesn't matter where you sit in the organization. It is absolutely abundantly clear you can use these tools to build something with the IQ series, which is very much tailored to what we're looking for this hackathon. Burke, how's yours getting on? How do you have something visible?
Yes, we do. It's not super
Amazing.
impressive. As you can see, we've got some boxes and something that doesn't really look like a bird. But again, this is like phase one, right? So this is going to start real simple, and then it's going to build out and hopefully make this a lot better and a lot more complex than it is. And you can't see it, but my browser is launching over here, and it's taking screenshots on this side here, attempting to like track the progress of the game. So there's one. This is the one it did first when things were loading. And so that's just like the scheduled process that's running every 60 seconds. Yeah, I don't know. This is quite.
I need this. I need this desperately. This is an emoji. I need this in an emoji, Burke, any given moment.
Vibe coding in one image.
You're staying true to your title. Absolutely.
Yeah. I can get it. Watch this. And boom. All right, I got it. Vibe coding in one image.
Love that. And that's using the integrated browser in VS Code, right?
Correct. Yeah, which is really nice. Like I don't have to leave. Yeah. And there's one of these in the GitHub Copilot app as well. And there's one in the agent window as well. So you can't lose.
Everywhere. You don't need to leave context at all. You got it all. Wonderful. All right, folks, that is absolutely amazing. I really appreciate your time today, and really thank you for showing what you can do in less than half an hour that you can put together with these tools. Now, there was a lot of chat around using different models. There was a lot of chat around the different modes, and especially around credits. Now, you can do this with the free Copilot tier that is available to you, or GitHub Copilot tier that's available to you. So absolutely get hacking, give it a go, and submit your projects. Now, I'm just going to share my screen here as well. If you need the link, it is going to be posted in the chat as well. But you must go to aka.ms/agentsleague/AISF. That'll take you to a registration form. Or if you registered, then it will send you to the actual portal. And inside that portal, you can create your profile and create your project, submit it to us by June 14th, and we will get back to you by the end of June. Absolutely massive thank you to the speakers today, both Kyle and Burke. You've done absolutely wonderful. It's great to see different processes, different workflows, and how you're all using these tools, because everybody's using them so differently. So yes, finally, enjoy the rest of your days, and thank you all for joining. It was wonderful having you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining. Thanks to our speakers. Here at the Reactor, we are always looking to improve your experience. So if you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find the link to our survey on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you on the next one.